Welcome to another episode of Capital Insight. What if the biggest financial empire of our time was never as strong as it looked? Not fake, not imaginary, but built on something far more dangerous. A belief.
Look around you.
Because belief can move billions.
We are unstoppable.
It can silence doubt,
This empire will change
override logic,
everything. The future is ours.
and make people trust what they don't fully understand. And when belief replaces truth, the collapse isn't slow. It's a sudden, unforgiving, and impossible to stop. Just a few years ago, this company was everywhere. Its name echoed across stadiums. Its logo stood beside global brands. Its founder sat with billionaires, politicians, and visionaries. He didn't look like power. No suits. No arrogance. Just
Pleasure
messy
doing
hair,
business with you.
quiet
Likewise.
confidence,
Here's to a successful
and a
partnership.
story that people wanted to
I'm pushing
believe.
the latency fix now.
He
Good.
wasn't
Does it pass
just
the stress
building a
test?
Yeah, it
company.
runs at 98% efficiency.
He was
Ship it.
building a future. A better financial system. A fairer one. Smarter, faster, more transparent. At least that's what everyone thought. Investors didn't hesitate. Billions flowed in.
Building trust is the foundation.
Not
of everything
over
we do.
years,
This brand delivers on its
over
promises.
months.
Every time.
And when money moves that fast, it creates something dangerous. An illusion of stability. Because as long as new money keeps coming in,
Sam and Anna.
nothing looks
The honor is
broken.
mine. Sam,
Everything
congratulations.
feels
A new chapter.
unstoppable. And that's where the real story begins. Because behind the growth, behind the headlines, behind the confidence, something didn't add up. Not in a dramatic way. In a subtle way. The kind of inconsistency you don't notice. When everything is working. Decisions made quickly. Structures built without deep oversight. Risk quietly accumulating.
To a fantastic
But no
deal.
one
Cheers
stopped.
to many more.
This is
Because
just the beginning.
success blinds.
Absolutely. To our future.
When something is growing, people stop asking questions. When everyone believes, doubt feels unnecessary.
Breaking.
And
A
inside
major
that
success has been
belief,
achieved. This unprecedented win
the
builds
system
incredible
kept
momentum for future
expanding.
clients.
Vaster, bigger, more complex, layer by layer. Trust turned into confidence, confidence into influence, and influence into power. But power, when it grows too fast, stops being questioned,
We can't ignore
and
the
that's
indication.
when systems
The
become
exposure's too great.
fragile.
We proceed with caution.
Not from one mistake, but from many small ones. Each one justified. Each one easy to ignore. Until together, they create instability. But here's the most dangerous part. The people inside didn't feel it. Because when you're inside a
I'm
machine
confident
moving at
this will
full
yield excellent
speed,
returns.
Absolutely, the projections
you don't
are very
feel the
strong.
I agree.
cracks.
It's a solid investment.
You feel momentum, excitement, belonging. You feel like you're part of something too big to fail. And when everyone around you feels the same way, that belief becomes reality. Until it
Complexity is
doesn't,
staggering.
because
Funds,
something
swings,
had
mergers,
already
as they
started
shop,
to
and
shift.
It's all interconnected.
Quietly,
This code is a total mess.
At least
slowly,
it's consistent.
Yeah,
invisible
consistently
at
broken.
Sounds like
first.
us.
Markets tightened. Money slowed. Confidence began to get
Strong
tested.
is concerning.
And when
Recovery
conditions
slow.
change,
Let's wait for the next up.
weakness doesn't stay hidden. It gets exposed. Not all at once, but through signals. Small ones. A question here. A doubt there. At first ignored.
The FTX interface is
Dismissed.
glitching. Balances are wrong.
Because the story
Data.
still felt
We need to
strong.
act now.
But once doubt enters a system, it doesn't leave. It spreads. From person to person.
This data is
From
broken.
investor
Look at these
to
projections.
investor.
I see it. This could escalate.
Until belief starts to
Need to
weaken. And when belief weakens, everything built on top of it starts to shake. Because in systems like this, belief isn't just part of the structure. It is the structure.
We
And
must
once
address
that
the concerns
structure
about
is
scaling down.
questioned,
The risk too high. We could lose everything.
collapse
Exactly.
becomes
We
a
need better data. I
possibility.
have it.
But what triggered it? What turned quiet doubt into something unstoppable? That's where the story changes. Because it wasn't a crash. It wasn't a scandal. It wasn't even something obvious. It was something small, almost insignificant, but powerful enough to start a chain reaction
Resistance at 52K.
that no one
Volume
could
confirms.
control.
Break above could signal an uptrend.
And once it began, there was no way back. Because in systems built on trust,
It's crashing.
Sometimes.
A shockwave.
all it takes is one moment, and everything begins to fall apart. From the outside, nothing had changed. The platform was still running.
The market's tanking.
Users were still logging in.
Get out now.
Money was still moving. Everything looked normal. And that's what made it so dangerous. Because when collapse is visible, people react. But when everything looks stable, right up until the moment it isn't, there's no time. Inside the system, pressure had been building. Not loudly, quietly. The kind of pressure that doesn't show up in headlines, but starts to shape decisions behind closed doors. Markets were no longer booming. Liquidity was tightening. Confidence was no longer guaranteed. And in that environment, every weakness matters. Positions that looked strong weren't. Assets that seemed liquid weren't. Structures that relied on trust had nothing beneath them. But still,
It's crashing.
no
What
one
are you doing?
outside could see it
Down Main
until
Street,
one
it's
thing
right.
changed.
Too late.
Information. A report. A glimpse behind the curtain. Not a confirmation. Just a suggestion that a significant part of the system's strength depended on something it controlled itself. Something that looked valuable, but might not actually be. And that's when doubt became real. Because if your foundation depends on perception, then its strength isn't absolute. It's conditional. As long as people believe. It
Alerts are
holds,
flashing red everywhere.
but the
This is
moment
an
belief
emergency.
fades,
Liquidity is plummeting. We must stabilize.
everything attached to
Volatility is
it
spiking. Divert funds
starts
now
to
before we
weaken.
collapse.
It's
And
not
that
working.
idea
Withdraw. Come on, process it.
spread
Hurry, it's glitching.
vast. Investors started looking closer. Analysts began asking questions. Competitors started watching. And attention creates pressure, because attention leads to scrutiny. And scrutiny reveals truth. At first, the response
Answer it
was
now.
calm,
What's the offer?
Wait, check the risks first.
confident,
No time. The market's moving.
reassuring.
Hello? We're in.
Everything is fine. Everything is under control. And for a moment, People believed it because confidence is contagious. But then something happened. Not a direct attack, not an accusation, a signal, a powerful one. A rival stepped back, not dramatically, strategically. They began reducing exposure, distancing themselves, and in uncertain systems, signals matter more than statements, because people don't wait for proof. They follow behavior, and this behavior said one thing: we don't trust this anymore. And that changed everything.
The projections
Because when
collapsed.
someone influential
How? This
shows
can't be
doubt,
happening.
The data was solid. What
others
changed?
follow.
This is a breaking news alert.
Investors
Parts confirmed it's spreading
reevaluated.
rapid.
Stable on the street.
Users
Okay, I was
reconsidered.
supposed
And then they acted. Withdrawals began. At first manageable, then faster, then overwhelming. Because fear moves faster than logic, faster than growth, faster than trust. And once people think their money isn't safe, they don't wait. They leave. And systems like this aren't designed for everyone to leave at once. They depend on balance, flow, predictability. But fear destroys predictability. Withdrawals surged. Billions in days, then hours. Inside the company, the situation became critical. Because the more
Rescue
people
failed.
withdrew,
How could this happen?
Our position-
the more
But
pressure
Sam,
This is a
increased.
disaster, a total meltdown.
And the more pressure increased, the more people withdrew. A cycle, a feedback loop, impossible to stop. Because once people see others leaving, they follow. It's instinct, and instinct is stronger than logic. The company tried to stabilize, to reassure, to contain the situation. But the numbers weren't matching. Liquidity wasn't enough. And that's when everything shifts. From concern to crisis. Because now it's not about confidence. It's about survival. A rescue was needed. Vast. A deal was proposed. An acquisition. A lifeline. And for a moment, hope returned. Maybe it could be saved. Maybe this wasn't the end. But there was one condition. A due diligence. A real look at the truth. And when that happened, everything changed. Because what was found was worse than expected. Much worse. And the rescue disappeared. Just like that. No backup. No safety net. No second chance. And in that moment, a belief died. And without belief, everything accelerates. Faster than anyone expects.
Stakeholder involvement early on.
Because
really
now
reduced
it's
delays.
clear.
Consistent
There is
monitoring
no
key for better
recovery.
outcomes.
Only
These lessons will guide
collapse.
our next steps.
Withdrawals surged again. More
I'm not
aggressive,
convinced this is the right move.
more
The
urgent,
risks are significant. We need
because
more data.
now it wasn't
What if we
about
wait, we
caution.
lose the opportunity.
It
Let's
was
review the
about
projections
escape.
again.
And then, the moment came. The moment that changes everything. Withdrawals stopped completely. And when people lose access to their money, fear becomes something else.
I'm
Panic,
convinced this is the right move.
anger,
The risks are significant. We need more data.
desperation.
But if we wait,
Because
we lose the
now,
opportunity.
it's not about
Let's review
preventing
projections
loss. It's about realizing it may already be gone. And that's when the real questions begin. Where is the money? What actually happened? And most importantly, was this inevitable? Because by now, the collapse wasn't just happening. It was unfolding in real time. And as the system unraveled, the truth began to surface. Not all at once, piece by piece, layer by layer.
Building trust is the
And what
foundation of
people
everything we do.
discovered
This brand delivers on its
was far
promises
more
every time.
complex
A
than
pleasure doing
anyone
business with you.
expected.
Likewise, here's
This
to a
wasn't
successful
just
partnership.
mismanagement. This wasn't just bad timing. This was structural. Funds that were supposed to be secure had been used, moved, reallocated, blurring the line between ownership and control. And that's where trust breaks
Well,
completely.
I know about that.
Because people don't
It's just
just
not really a
expect
thing.
access to their money.
Sam,
They
an honor.
expect
The
certainty,
honor is mine. Sam,
A separation.
congratulations. A new chapter.
a security. And when that's gone, it's not just financial. It's personal. It's betrayal. And betrayal spreads faster than facts. The story exploded. Across media. Across platforms. Across the world. What was once respected was now questioned. What
To a
was once
fantastic deal.
trusted
Cheers to many more.
was now
This is just the
doubted.
beginning.
Absolutely.
And the ripple
Breaking.
effect
A major success has been achieved.
began
This unprecedented win builds incredible
because
momentum for
systems
future
like
trials.
this don't exist alone. They're connected to markets, to institutions, to people. And when one collapses, others feel it. Confidence across the entire space started to weaken. Because if something this
Complexity is
big
staggering.
could
Funds flow
fail
at
this
strange rates,
fast,
as Lich's Shalpany.
what
It's all
else could?
interconnected.
And that question changed everything. But inside the
This code is a
collapse,
total mess.
At least it's
another
consistent.
reality
Yeah,
was
consistently
unfolding.
broken.
Sounds like us.
The missing funds. At first unclear. Then impossible to ignore. Billions unaccounted for. And when numbers reach that scale, they don't just disappear. They leave questions. Where did it go? Who
This
knew?
drop is concerning.
How was
The
this
recovery seems
allowed?
slow. Let's wait for
And
the
as
recovery.
investigations
The FTX
deepened,
interface is glitching.
the
Balances are wrong.
structure
It's
revealed
distorting market
itself.
data. We need to act now.
complex,
This drop is
interconnected,
The recovery seems slow. Let's
entangled,
wait for the next update.
money moving between entities, oversight limited, controls unclear, and in fast systems, complexity hides risk until everything stops. And when it stops,
This data is troubling.
everything becomes
I
visible.
see it. This could escalate quickly.
But by then,
We need to act.
it's too late. Because collapse doesn't happen when things break. It happens when the system can no longer hold itself together. And in this case, that point had already been reached.
We must address the
Bankruptcy
concerns about scale.
followed.
The risk too high. We could lose
Final.
everything. Exactly. We need better data.
Unavoidables. The empire was gone. But the story didn't end there. Because collapse is one thing. Aftermath is another. Users left with uncertainty.
Resistance at
Savings
52K.
gone.
Volume confirmed.
Confidence
Break above the
shattered.
normal trend.
Institutions questioning their own decisions. Regulators forced to respond. And the system itself forced to evolve. Because this wasn't just about one company. It was about something deeper. How trust is built. How it's abused. And how quickly it can disappear. Because trust is powerful. It accelerates
Crashing!
everything.
A shockwave!
But without structure, it becomes fragile.
The market's tanking!
And when it breaks,
Head to Assad Beth.
the consequences extend far beyond money. They change behavior. They create hesitation. They reshape entire industries. And they leave one question behind. What do we do now? Because rebuilding trust is harder than building growth. It takes time, transparency, consistency, and proof. Not promises, not narratives. Proof. Proof that systems can hold under pressure. Because pressure is the ultimate test. It removes perception. It strips away belief and reveals what's actually there. And that brings us back to the beginning. Because what looks strong isn't always stable. What feels safe isn't always secure. And what everyone believes in isn't always real.
It's crashing! We're
Sometimes
Not again, how bad?
it's
ruined.
just a
Damage to
story,
weakest range. It's too late!
a powerful one, a convincing, a compelling, but
It's not working.
incomplete.
Withdraw. Come on,
And when
process it.
reality
Hurry,
catches up,
glitching.
I can't die!
that story
The alerts are
collapses.
flashing red everywhere.
Suddenly,
This is an emergency. Liquidity is
completely,
stabilizing. Volatility is
unforgivingly,
spiking. Divert funds now.
because reality
Answer it now! What's the offer?
doesn't
Wait,
care
check the
about
risks
perception.
No time! The market's moving!
It doesn't care
Hello?
about
We're in.
branding. It only reflects what exists beneath the surface. And if there's one thing this story proves, it's this. Strength is not defined by appearance. It's defined by resilience, by structure, by truth. Because in the end, every system faces pressure.
Stakeholder involvement early on.
And when
really
that
reduced
moment
delays.
comes,
Consistent
there are
monitoring
only
was key
two
for better
outcomes. It
These
either
lessons will guide our next
holds
steps.
or it doesn't. And when belief is no longer enough, what remains is reality. Unfiltered,